All right, so start off. Did anyone have any major issues with the homework? Not committing it to the repo, just the homework itself. I know we've already talked to most of you, but Chris, did you have an okay time? Did you?
I didn't have a lot of time to do it, so.
Okay.
But I mean, I haven't had I don't see any major
Okay.
issues.
All right. Well, we decided that throwing source tree on you guys is probably a bit much. What we really want to focus on is teaching Git or source control. Source tree is just a front end for Git. You're probably better served anyway, just learning the command line stuff. So from now on, we're just going to forget about source tree. Yeah, so we're just going to focus on command line. So what we did is find a cheat sheet for Git commands that hopefully will help you guys. I'm going to put those and well, we can go over it real quick. But we'll put them up on Slack. Git commands and then terminal commands. No.
Did you break it?
No.
You're right, Jeremiah. He doesn't close anything.
Oh no, that computer probably hasn't been turned off in about 3 months.
That was my old HP. It'd be dead already.
So just the basic commands that we're going to be using on here. There's some commands that we won't be using probably.
Definitely.
So this is probably the most relevant to us here. What I'd like to do is just kind of go over one more time how you would submit your homework. Because I think that's what most people had the biggest problems with. So let's see here.
You said you sent out an email?
Sent out an email about what?
Cohab, is that what you said? You sent out an email?
No, I did.
Oh.
No, I got an email from Cohab saying we can use
okay.
use the space for free during the class. We can go down there and hang out.
Well, I asked about
Yeah.
I was getting them coffee down there today.
That's actually a really cool space. If
It is.
we get into group projects and stuff, that'd be perfect.
They got a really cool chairman this year.
Do they?
Yeah. Last year and the year before last.
Sounds like a dictatorship.
No, it sounds like a sucker.
All right, so I'm in a folder where I created some files earlier. So when I type git status here, I haven't done anything except create them. We see there's nothing added here. It does say that I'm ahead, which means I haven't pushed in a while, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is add the files. Let me just show you real quick. I have 2 files here. I'm going to add these to my repo. So the command for that, who remembers the command for that?
Get
Dash uppercase.
Git add, and the A tells it to add all the files that are untracked.
Could you just do a period after that?
The period will only add everything in your current working directory. The dash capital A will work recursively.
Oh.
Alright, so git status after that. 2 files were added, my high-low and exercise 1 RB files. So what's the next step, Jim?
Hit push.
No. Jumping ahead here. So I've added my files to staging. The next thing I want to do is commit those files.
Git commit.
Git commit, and I'll go ahead and type the message inline here. I added exercises. All right, tells me that it added them. Now what's the next?
Git push.
Git push. Okay, thank you. Git push. So it really is that simple. So I think the the thing to keep in mind here is that Git is tracking changes, and so a change could be adding a file, a change could be editing a file. Basically, anything you do to your file structure is a change, and changes are what Git tracks. Does anyone have any questions about Git? Go ahead.
How do you confirm you're sending it to the right repository?
When you remember the steps we go through when we create it in Bitbucket? When you clone down that repository, that's the only one it can talk to.
Oh, okay.
So when you change directories into a different repository, it can only talk to its repository.
Alright. So you have to go to Bitbucket every time if you want to access the repository.
Well, no, you just change directories on your local machine to that other project.
I think another thing that may be tripping some of you guys up is if you have a repository, if you have a sub repo in a repo, I think that's what some people, I know several of these people have done that, and that has caused problems.
That will cause
So
problems.
what you want to do is make sure you have a working directory, right? So it's under admin. You want to clone down each of those repositories into that working directory. Keep them separate from each other. Otherwise, you're definitely going to have problems. So,
Yeah.
All right.
And we'll probably take before we start the big project-oriented phase of this class, we'll probably take a slightly deeper dive into Git, explaining a little bit more about what's going on after these commands have been burned into your brain a little bit, and we'll explain how it works when you're coordinating with other people. That way you can work in group projects and stuff like that without stepping on each other's toes. And it really, right now it feels like a pain because you're the only one working on your code. But when you see how gracefully it handles helping people collaborate with one another, the value really starts to show itself.
All right. Is anyone like super proud of their homework and they want to show it off?
Why do you have mine up there?
You can show mine.
Jim Walsh, you want to?
I got through it.
I don't mean to pick
Jeremiah
on you.
shot me down the first act.
There's a couple of things that I wanted to mention about these before we get too deeply into them, because it's problems that I saw several people having in one form or another. And some of these are me being nitpicky. Some of them are actually important. Well, one of the most popular ones I saw some people, I think one person saw it, don't know who. You mind swapping with me? Just get out of your chair. Just get out of your chair. God dang it.
Do we have two of the same chairs that y'all like?
No, this is my office chair. I brought it from across the hall.
It's got his
but
arm germs on it.
It's not arm germs, God.
So when we watch this video later, it's gonna be the good stuff.
All right, so specifically, this one was just a palindrome problem. You took a string in from a user. If you have a string, I'll call it str equals level. Okay, that's a palindrome. In code, any language really, if I capitalize one of those L's, that is no longer a palindrome. It's because the capital L and the lowercase l are not the same characters. They have different ASCII character codes, so they do not equal one another anymore if you check it with its reverse. The easy way to fix this on a string is to just call the down case method. That some of y'all found that in the documentation and the Ruby docs and whatnot. There's also an upcase equivalent to uppercase everything. There's a lot of methods like that that are just handy for you, convenience methods that you don't have to write yourself. Another problem that I saw, this is one we didn't really go over, so this is kind of going to be the first time y'all will see that. It was in one of them, I can't remember which exercise, we said to separate something with tabs. And so I saw a lot of people on there they literally did this and put tabs. That's okay, but a tab on a system is actually very platform specific. It's not going to be the same on a Mac as it is a Windows computer, as it is a Linux machine. We have something when we're dealing with strings called escape characters. Okay, the reason why they are called escape characters is because they start with a leading escape \, and then there's a 1 character code that follows it that means something else. If you see a \T, almost universally in every language, \T means tab. And so it will insert a tab where it sees that. If you want several tabs back to back, /T/T/T/T. Okay? All characters that you don't have ASCII codes assigned to them, almost all of them have an escape character. So if I wanted to have 1 string here, but they appear on 2 different lines, I can say first line and put a new line character, which is /n, second line. And those will actually print out on 2 separate lines.
That work. I'm sorry. I was going to say that works inside the string, though. Is what you're saying.
That's inside of the string, yes.
Okay. It always has to be in the quotation. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, I don't remember who it was, but someone forgot to chomp their get string. Is that you? Okay, so the reason why your string, I forget which example it was, but the problem was you had that new line or carriage return at the end of your string that you just can't see it. when
It's a character, but it doesn't show up.
It doesn't show up. So yeah, it's,
It still has the ASCII code. The blank does, right? Technically, the
so when you type in with the keyboard and press enter, it takes all the characters that you type plus the enter key. So chomp takes that enter key off, takes the ASCII code or the escape character for that off.
And then you said, so you're saying and, not end? Like the letter N?
That would be \n, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, the letter.
You were saying like end. Like,
See, here's some examples right here, and these are specific to JavaScript, but most of these exist in every language and are the same in pretty much every language. How do you put a quote inside of a string? Has anyone tried to do that yet? Put a double quote inside of a string? If you try it, it ends the string right there. I mean, it doesn't keep going. The way you have to do that is with an escape character. That way it delimits it out and will actually put the character there. So these are just popular ones. They're
expressions. I'm sorry.
they're called escape characters. Right here, just escape character. Okay, and you'll be using those quite frequently in the future. So, probably the biggest problem that we saw with a lot of people's projects, though, or that I noticed with some people's projects, is mathematical precision. All right. So we went over this very, very briefly in either our first or second lesson together. And when you're doing math, if you're mixing integers and decimals, when you're multiplying or dividing, something like that, it's possible to lose precision and cut off the decimal entirely on accident. So if you, for instance, divided 9 by 5, like in that temperature conversion example, it wasn't giving you the answer you thought it was. Okay? And the reason why is because that will not give you a decimal. Right? Okay? The way you fix that is by dividing by 5.0. All right? You're telling the system then, I want decimal precision with this. Okay?
If you put it on both, or
If you put it on both,
it doesn't matter.
the safe thing to do is to put it on every one you care about. Okay? But you can get, if you know the rules, which is basically the last or the rightmost character in the expression you're evaluating, if it's a float, then it will use decimal precision. But that's in every set, that's in every ordered set. So every set of parentheses is kind of the way you can think about that.
So it wouldn't be enough to wrap that in parentheses and do a 2F at the end of the parentheses.
Right, so if I did, for instance, 9 divided by 5 divided by 2.0, the 9 divided by 5 would still lose its precision before it divided by 2.0. So I would still need that. Okay?
So I did, in that one, the degrees Celsius one, I did gives, whenever you ask for a Celsius degrees, gives CHOM 2F.
Mm-hmm.
Does that solve that problem? You still need
It does sometimes. It depends on what characters you're what numbers you're evaluating where. But yes, that is turning that value into a float. So essentially, you have a dot something there. All right. So most of you we saw actually had a decent grasp on string interpolation, which is basically instead of saying, I don't know what's a good example. Like if I had a value for x here, 5, and I wanted to say the value is x, some of you know because you had this problem, you actually have to call dot toString here to get that value to concatenate, because you can only use string concatenation between 2 strings, 2 or more strings. String interpolation allows you to get around that, which is the other format we looked at the other week, which allowed you to put x inside of that. It will automatically try to toString that value for you. That's a pound sign and the curly braces. So pound sign, open curly bracket, the variable you want to print out, which in this case is x, and the closed curly brace.
Not the colon.
Not the colon,
that
no.
needs to be in the quotes to work.
It does, it does. I was just putting it on this line to show as an example, but yes, that is actually inside of the quotes.
I was trying to do that, and I kept like commenting,
Mhm.
making it whatever color.
Now, that's the next thing I was about to go over. There is a difference between double quotes and single quotes. All right? So those are 2 strings with the word string inside of it. Okay? You can use string interpolation and escape characters with strings defined with double quotes. You cannot with strings that are single quotes. All right? If you try to use an escape character like a tab character like \t, it's going to print out \t. Or it's going to print out pound curly brace x close curly brace. It's not going to put the value of x. You only get those magical niceties if you use the double quote wrapped string. Okay? And there was, I think, one more. And this one's a one that's just going to take some time to get used to for everybody. That's naming conventions. Saw all kinds of different naming conventions. All right, Ruby, Java, every language sets down their own idioms, how they want things to be named, how they want classes to be named, how they want methods to be named, how they want variables to be named. And you follow these because it makes the code easier to maintain and easier to read for other people who come back to view it later. In Ruby, variable names, like for instance first name, we'll say first name. My first name is Jeremiah. All right. Variables should all be lowercase letters, and multiple words should be separated by an underscore.
Okay, because you can't have space there, can you?
No, you can't.
Right, you can't have a space there. No. Other languages, you'll see them, they want it in camel case like that, right? Where you put 2 words together that, and they're delimited by the second word being capitalized, the third word being capitalized. In Ruby, we call that snake case. I don't know why. Snake case.
Snake on the ground.
I guess so. class names though,
IDs.
like when we were writing that class person the other day, and modules, all of those are capitalized. All right, those are camel case. So if I had person, or if I had a class called data structure, all right, those are defined camel case. All right, so by looking at the code, you can tell what's a class, what's a constant, what's a variable, just by looking at it. You don't have to go look at where it's declared.
Oh, okay, so when I was trying to put puts and I accidentally hit the capital P, that's why it went green or whatever color I chose to. But my point is,
Yeah, case
Oh,
matters.
that's,
Case
yeah,
matters.
case definitely matters. But when you're calling a method name, they are definitely case specific. They're not. It's just not going to be anything that works.
Okay.
Like you capitalize. it.
So if I were inside of a class here, and this were a method that I was writing, and let's say, well, y'all probably know this one because y'all have used some methods already. For instance, like 2i or 2f, they follow the same idiom as variable names, snake case. Okay, so all lowercase separated with underscores. I think that's pretty well everything for now. So if you want to go through the homework.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good and use the screen more so it gets recorded.
Is it recording from the?
No, it's
Yeah, it's recording from
recording
this.
this screen here. So
got real fancy.
All right. You get lost in all these tabs.
Yeah, right now it's got Jeremiah's face in HD.
this is the microphone. My face is in surround sound.
That's even better.
All right. So let's just take a look at Jim's palindrome here. What did he do? He said text gets chomp. Who can tell me what Jim didn't do besides Jim that we discussed earlier? Like how would you make this program fail?
You would capitalize the first letter of the word.
Correct. Yeah. If you were to type in Bob with a capital B, this would fail.
You're fired.
You got 100%, buddy.
It only took 3 classes.
Yeah, I'm not really going to go over each one of these. I think Jeremiah covered the major problems, and if no one has any questions about it,
Oh, you're just gonna go over mine.
I just want to pick on you for a second.
No, I would, but you sent me all those. You corrected all mine and sent me an email, so I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, and let me just I'll show you what we did, because we didn't do that for everyone. So
I think most people got comments if they had anything worth mentioning that needed correcting.
That's what I didn't know. I was like, did I really screw up? Or no.
well, I think from now on we're going to change the way we do it. So
Yeah.
we commented on the commits, and it's kind of buried in here. So if I went to the commits tab over here, clicked on that, you can see there's 7 comments on this commit. And so,
See, that works for now, but the problem is that as these projects get bigger and bigger and you have multiple files that you're managing, you're making multiple changes across multiple files, you're going to have many, many, many commits. And it's going to be harder for us to go through and comment these things.
yeah, so we're just going to start commenting, like Jeremiah said, just directly in the code, and
Well, like that.
you'll just have to make sure that you should be does it follow your own repo by default?
Huh?
Like, do you follow your own repo that you create
Yeah.
by default? Okay, so
Yeah.
you should get an email telling you there's a new commit. And then you can go look and see what it is, and you'll see our comments.
I might go when I comment on people's stuff like that, I might send them a Slack message or something saying
Yeah.
that they've got it just in case. But
Are you doing it in Sublime too, though? I I mean, or I guess it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, but okay.
Yeah. Well, in some kind of editor, we're actually going to start pulling down your code.
Okay.
We're going to run it locally, and instead of going back and putting comments through Bitbucket,
there.
we're just going to add comments like you were doing and put it right next to the lines where we see the issues or where they need corrections, that kind of thing. And we'll commit those and push them back up so you can see the changes.
Would I know who it is, or you put like your initials? I mean, not, or I guess I could see them.
Well, if it was me, you'll get a message from me saying that.
I did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll tell you who committed.
Yeah, you'll see. You can see who committed in the commit message.
Cool.
All right.
So you know who to go after. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know,
Exactly.
You're running down the hallway. Why'd you commit them?
All right.